Wow, you guys, it has been such a long day at the office. I'm so excited for lunch. What did you guys bring in today?
Me too. I'm so hungry, but all I brought was this protein bar because I want something savory, but everything on the protein market is like sweet.
Yeah, and I didn't have time to meal prep or grocery shop, so I just rescued some eggs I had in my fridge, hard-boiled them, and I have a bag salad, which isn't really great, but it's what I've got.
I just brought in fish because I'm trying to hit my protein for the day.
Oh, can't wait to smell that all day.
What about you, DJ?
Well, I was scrolling on Instagram Reels last night, and I kept on getting this advertisement for a soup with 20 grams of protein. When I saw the same advertisement on Instacart this morning, I hit click, go, and it got here 2 hours later. I've got it with me right now. It says it's Tuscan tomato basil.
Is it like better than other soup?
Oh, let me tell you, it's way better. Hi, judges. We are Way Better Soups. My name is DJ Coughlin.
My name is Ella Rogers.
Victoria Paolini?
Zeta Espinola.
And we are Way Better. Taking a look at our flagship product, Way Better Soup uses an upcycled ingredient, liquid whey, to perform well and give you 20 grams of naturally sourced protein in our vegetarian options. It is a low-calorie soup with simple ingredients, helping you maintain satiety and energy throughout your workday, avoiding that 3 p.m. post-lunch work crash. We put it in a convenient, ready-to-eat format in a microwave-safe container, this beautiful glass jar, elevating the look and giving you a premium feel. Taking a look at our packaging, we've got a call out to 20 grams of protein for our vegetarian options right on the front. Right below that, we've got a GLP-1 friendliness call out because 15% of Americans are now on GLP-1s. Taking a look at the nutrition facts over here, we are straightforward with our simple ingredient list and nutritional information. It does contain milk, so there is an allergy there. On the other side of the packaging, we've got some brand education as why we put whey in our soup today, giving consumers some information about the nutritional benefits of liquid whey. And right below that, we've got some preparation instructions as well as some tips and tricks for elevating your experience with Way Better Soup. This is Tuscan tomato basil. However, we do offer rotisserie chicken and wild rice with thyme, mushroom and beef bourguignon, French potato leek with cracked white pepper, and something I'm personally super excited for, lemongrass and coconut chicken curry. Victoria is going to take you through why we put whey in our soup today.
Thank you, DJ. So why whey? In the United States, approximately 120 billion pounds of liquid whey is produced from cheese making. Only 20% of that is actually incorporated into food products. Otherwise, it's discarded. If it's not discarded properly, it's environmentally hazardous. So we have an opportunity to reduce food waste. If we incorporate liquid whey into our soup, we enhance flavors, texture, and creaminess. By incorporating whey, we have a high-quality natural protein that has immune support and antioxidant protection. It also has overall weight and health management. So with the idea of liquid whey in mind, we use that to base our approach. We have partnered with mid-sized cheese-making industry, starting off in California with our production plant in Lathrop, so centrally located, to provide a product that not only provides a solution for these cheesemakers with way too much whey on their hands, but also a product that solves a need for consumers. I'll pass it along to Zeta to understand what that benefit is to producers.
Thank you, Victoria. Dairy producers have a big opportunity. Right now, whey is often used as a waste product, and it costs $20 per ton just to dispose of it. What we are doing is changing this into a new revenue stream, up to $150 per ton. We also handle transportation, so there's no added logistics for the producer. And on top of that, there's minimal additional processing. Moving on, let's talk about the market analysis.
Thanks, Zeta. So when it comes to our market analysis, we took a research-based approach. The first thing to understand is that the soup market is growing. It's projected to grow 3.1% annually, even hitting $6.6 billion in the year 2031. Following that momentum, the protein ingredients market is also growing, expected to grow 6.6% per year and hit 33.3 million by the year 2030. So really what we're seeing here is we are hitting this intersection of two rapidly expanding markets. Two key trends we want to point out is that there is a growing interest in brands that are intentional about reducing food waste, and with that, retailers are going to prioritize those products that align with consumer trends and show that high sales turnover. A major part of our market analysis was our primary research. For us, this was a regression analysis using USDA and VLS consumer data, a consumer survey where nearly 400 respondents were surveyed, and a taste test. So what these showed us is that our core consumers are going to be single, high income, and live in urban areas located on the west and the northeast regions. They're going to be willing to try whey and willing to pay a 50-cent to $2 premium for a product that is convenient and health-focused. A barrier we did find was that there is this unfamiliarity around the taste of whey, but our taste test did reveal that 4 out of 5 consumers chose Way Better over a leading brand. So we know we have the quality of taste there. The key for us is addressing that unfamiliarity when it comes to our marketing strategy. But for now, let's get into our target consumers with Victoria.
Thank you, Ella. So with all that research, we were able to summarize all our finding and identify 2 key personas. Our first is our single working professional. That is someone that's 22 to 35 years old. This is someone whose early career trying to figure out that work-life balance, so they're seeking fast, convenient, high-protein meals with limited meal prep time. This is someone who's also sustainability-minded with a focus in reducing food waste, so that glass jar is perfect for them. We have our clean protein achiever as our second individual who's 25 to 40 years old. This is more of a wellness-focused individual who prioritizes clean ingredients and label transparency. This is someone who doesn't want to sacrifice their health goals with what they choose to consume. I'll pass it along to DJ to understand where this fits in the market.
Sweet. Taking a look at our competitive analysis, we've lined up some of our main competitors with Panera at Home, Whole Foods 365, and Campbell's Chunky Soup. Taking a look at the protein content, we top the charts with 20 to 28 grams of protein per serving. Our next up competitor would be Campbell's Chunky with 12 to 19 grams of protein per serving. However, they serve their soup in a generic canned format, which isn't quite the premium feel that we're going for. Up next, we're looking at Panera and Whole Foods, which do serve up to 10 grams of protein content per serving and do have somewhat decent nutritional quality ratings, but we elevate that to the next level with our premium feel and a premium price attached to that as well. Looking at our SWOT analysis, we've got some major strengths. We are higher in protein than all of our competitors, as well as using upcycled ingredients and being the only savory whey product in the market. Some weaknesses that we are aware of is it is a higher price point. It's a premium product with that. So there's also low brand awareness and a little bit of a whey taste unfamiliarity. Some opportunities that we've jumped on is the rising interest in sustainability as well as growing demand for high protein meals. And some threats we're cognizant of are strong existing competitors and a crowded protein market. Ella's going to take it away with our business proposition and the strategy statement.
Yeah, so when it comes to strategy, we're positioning ourselves as a protein-rich, functional meal solution that really hits those sustainability and convenience aspects in order to capture that Gen Z and millennial market while monitoring from adoption from additional age groups. The idea is to bring our consumers from awareness to trial to repeat purchase in order to build that brand equity and drive that long-term growth.
Here at Way Better, we've got 3 key planning assumptions. The first is that we adhere to regulatory and quality compliance through FDA testing and third-party testing, assuring that nutritional quality that we give to consumers. Next up is a reliable whey supply. We're assuming to already be in contact with our whey suppliers, the mid-sized cheesemakers across California and upstate New York, and have a consistent whey supply to support our rising demand for Way Better soup. And lastly, we're assuming to have an established retail presence and be in contact and contract with our distributors as well as retailers having shelf placement in their stores. With these assumptions in mind, we've set some objectives at Way Better. The first is around product awareness and achieving 35% total brand awareness by year 3. Next up is market penetration within the soup category of premium and retail channels, moving that from 8% in year 1 all the way up to 17% by year 3. And last but not least is a consumer-facing objective of achieving 45% repeat purchase rates by year 3 through loyalty-focused programs and pricing promotions. Into our action plan, Way Better Soup is positioned as the only soup that combines comfort and convenience while prioritizing protein and using premium quality ingredients. We also incorporate sustainable and upcycled ingredients into our soup as well. When it comes to the price of Way Better Soup, it is priced at $9.49 for the consumer-facing retail price. This costs us around $3.25 to make the product, or a little bit of variability for recipe costing. And then we'll be selling it to our retailers for a wholesale price of $5.98. With this price in mind, Ella's going to walk you through the place of where Way Better Soup will be located.
Yeah, so based off of that market analysis, we decided to launch in California. As you can see, our production facility is very conveniently centralized by our suppliers, and we're going to be focusing on selling in that premium tier of retailers. Moving on to year 2, we're jumping all the way to the other coast. Our suppliers will be based in New York, while our production facility will be in New Jersey. We'll also be selling in Rhode Island. As you can see, we're going to continue that premium tier retail channel. And over to year 3, we're going to be expanding our retail reach by adding Massachusetts and Arizona, while slightly broadening that retail channel by adding Safeway and Albertsons, while still generally focusing on that premium tier. But now let's get into promotion.
Sweet. Way Better Soups will attack their consumers in 3 main ways. The first with digital marketing, meeting them wherever they are at, whenever they are on their phone in their free time. Next, we'll be meeting them in their leisurely time as well during their activities that they're prioritizing, such as events or sponsored things like marathons. And last but not least, we're meeting them at the point of purchase or the point of sales at retailers themselves, doing sampling and promotions there. With these promotional tactics in mind, Victoria is going to take you through our marketing plan.
Thank you, DJ. So our first part of our marketing plan is our digital marketing. So we're starting off with 3 different strategies that really work together hand in hand. So first is social marketing, using social media. We're casting a wide net and really trying to catch our target consumers. But they might not be naturally exposed to our brand or our product, so we're diving into micro-influencers and user-generated content, tapping into their followers that align with our target audience. Then we're driving them to retailers and e-commerce integration using platforms like Instacart. Let's dive into that a little bit more. So first, we have our digital advertising. On the screen here, you can see examples of what our ads might look like, really focusing on our values with high protein, convenience, and also sustainability with this Earth Month, choose a conscious way to fuel. These are all geo-targeted, so understanding where our target audience is, so they'll show up in those areas we've identified, and will give us about 300,000 impressions a year. Moving on, we have influencers and user-generated content. We have partnered with an app called The Shelf. This is to identify influencers that really follow our brand values. And so those are influencers, health and wellness, and foodies, trying to tap into their followers. And then also to diversify our content a little bit, we have Kale. This is a user-generated content app. This is where consumers can organically produce and upload videos about our product, can complete challenges like seen on the board, and on our end saves us about 120 hours per campaign of work. So it's a pretty good way to diversify and save some time. That gives us about 1 million impressions a year. Moving on, we have podcast advertising. We know our consumers are really busy and often on the go, listening to music or podcasts. So we have strategically placed ads across the health, fitness, and lifestyle podcasts to really align with our wellness-focused individuals. These will also be geo-targeted in the areas we've identified and give us about 200,000 impressions a year. Wrapping up our digital marketing is our e-commerce and search engine optimization integration. So we know our consumers are busy. They might not have time to physically grocery shop. So we're bringing the point of purchase to them using Instacart. We have shoppable display and sponsored search, so you might see those ads shown earlier on those banners. And we also have keywords that we own to really boost our product to the top of the listing, like high protein meal or soup. And that gives us about 500,000 impressions a year. I'm gonna pass it along to DJ to talk about some events.
Sweet. Taking a look at the snapshot of the events that Way Better Soup will be present at, we've got urban food festivals to really meet our hipster and foodie crowd. We've got marathon sponsorship for our super active lifestyle individuals. And then for our macronutrient achievers, we've got fitness expos to meet people like bodybuilders or health coaches. Looking at urban food festivals first, we'll be present at Off the Grid in San Francisco, as well as Smorgasburg over in Los Angeles and New York City, as well as some regional food festivals sprinkled throughout. When it comes to this, we're prioritizing high volume product sampling, really driving that conversion from tasting and trying our product at one of these events to actually buying it for the first time at the retailers themselves. We'll expand this program from California in year 1 over to the Northeast coast in year 2 and back in both segments in year 3. This will see about 10,000 impressions per event. Next up, we're looking at our fitness expos. We'll be doing booth activations that focus on sampling as well as brand education, really breaking down that barrier of considering whey simply as a powderized supplement while we are using it as an ingredient. This will be huge, especially targeting those audiences that are very focused on the macronutrient profile, sealing about 20,000 impressions per event. Next up, the one I'm super stoked on is the marathon sponsorship. We'll be investing about $50,000 over the course of 3 years in sponsoring marathons across the nation. This will give us huge exposure to large health-focused audiences at scale. We'll be in cities like Los Angeles, New York City, Boston, Phoenix, and San Francisco, meeting audiences constantly and seeing about 50,000 impressions per event. Besides simply meeting consumers at events, we'll also be meeting them at the store, and Zeto's going to take you through our in-store promotions.
Because this is a new product, getting customers to try it is key. Our in-store promotions include these 3 tactics: in-store sampling, BOGO promotions, and aisle blade displays. Sampling is to reduce customer hesitation. BOGO promotions is to encourage first-time and repeat purchases. And lastly, aisle blade displays is to increase visibility and capture shopper attention. Another tactic we are launching is sweepstakes. How this works is simple. The customer will buy a jar of Way Better soups. Once they have accumulated enough lids, it will spell out Way Strong. After this, they will go to our websites and our socials where they will scan the QR code and submit photo proof to enter into the sweepstakes. This promotion runs for 12 weeks long, and it launches on February 4th, which is National Soup Day. The grand prize is 25 winners, and they will win a 1-year gym membership.
All right, so how much is all of this going to cost? Well, as you can see, our promotional budget is going to increase each year in accordance with our marketing tactics. Rather than use a percentage of revenue-based approach, rather we identified our objectives and focused on financing those tactics that would help us meet those objectives. So you can see here that promotional is going to take the largest portion of our budget, followed by digital and then events. The reason for this is that's the order that we saw the most return coming back to us in terms of impressions. But now let's get a little further into our finances with DJ.
Thank you, Ella. Taking a look at a snapshot of our year 1 finances, we'll be selling nearly 900,000 units in California in year 1. This amounts to $5.2 million as our gross sales dollar amount and a 59% gross margin, giving us a net profit take-home of $1 million. Moving into year 2, with increased production costs of a buy-in of a production facility in New Jersey, our gross margin does drop down to 57%. However, we are selling 1.2 million units in year 2 across those territories, and our gross sales dollar jumps up to 7.6 million, bringing our net profit to 1.3. Moving on to year 3, with paying off both of those production facilities, our gross margin drops dramatically gross margin goes up dramatically, up to 68%, with our net units topping at almost 2 million in that 3rd year, and our gross sales dollar at 11.7 million, bringing our net profit up to 4.1 million. Besides just financial success, Ella's going to take you through the other ways we measure success at Way Better.
Thanks. So we're going to start off with our product awareness. We're going to be tracking our consumers' brand recall using consumer surveys and tracking Google search trends. If we fail this objective, we're going to be increasing our paid digital advertising. And if we succeed, we're going to be shifting our focus towards trial conversion. Next, we have market penetration. We're going to be using Circana scanner data to track sales velocity. If we fail this objective, we're going to be reevaluating our retail channel alignment. And if we succeed, we are going to be expanding our geographic reach. Lastly, we have repeat purchasing. Again, we're going to be using that Circana data to track purchase frequency. If we fail, we're going to be reevaluating our product when it comes to taste, messaging, packaging, price. And if we succeed, we're going to be redirecting that revenue to increase our flavor offerings. But unplanned events can always happen, so Victoria is going to walk us through our crisis plan.
Thank you, Ella. Since we are a food product, we have to be prepared for risk and crisis. So our first step is assessing risk, understanding the issue. We'll be evaluating the severity and scope, be able to track that product all the way down to the source of that way. We will act fast. We have no issue pulling our product off the shelves, working directly with the FDA and retailers because our consumers are our #1 priority. Lastly, we will communicate and improve, issuing timely public updates and also implementing corrective actions. With that being said, Way Better Soup is a product not just breaking into the soup or protein categories, it is a category within itself. Its clear marketing strategy effectively reaches our target audience and helps them honor the values that they stand for. Thank you, and we appreciate any questions.
I'll jump in. Thank you all so much. One of the first things you guys started out with is right now the cheesemakers are paying $20 a ton to dispose of the whey, correct?
Yes.
And we're going to pay them $150 a ton. Why such a big gap? Like, why did we go all in at $150? There seems like a big difference between them paying money to that amount. What was the thinking?
It's based on the same amount of money that larger cheesemakers are paying, like yogurt companies and other cream cheese makers, selling their liquid whey to larger industries as well. It's around 15 cents a kilogram is what they pay.
Yeah,
So
and-
they've got the ability to sell it now. It's not like there isn't an opportunity for them to sell their whey?
There's not an opportunity for those smaller sized or mid-sized cheesemakers now.
Yeah, and adding on to that, this cost, or like the revenue for the producers, accounting all of it, this is really what we have put together for transportation and everything on our end. So they don't have to deal with transportation, they don't have to deal with where that goes. A lot of times it ends up as feed, but sometimes it doesn't, and this is to incorporate all of those costs.
You talked about the taste of whey and an unfamiliarity that consumers might have with that, which then prompted me to think, what does it taste like? Is it challenging? Is it different? Talk to us about the taste profile.
Yeah, totally. If you've ever had a yogurt and there's like a little bit of water on top, it's very similar to that water. It's just a little bit of a creaminess taste with like an umami flavor. It's very plain with a little bit of sweetness to it. So it does sweeten up our soup quite nicely and complement flavor profiles there.
Yeah, and I did want to draw attention again to that taste test. We actually found that the whey, if anything, really helped the taste. So yeah, that main barrier there was just, I guess, people not, I mean, obviously whey doesn't usually go in soup, so just them not understanding how that will work together. But that was why sampling is such a big part, and kind of that education around whey, just to kind of change that conception.
A semi-related follow-up, if I may, incorporating whey into a soup product, does that change like the shelf life profile of the soups at all? Is it shorter shelf life? If you can speak to that.
Yeah, so it does. It makes it perishable and needs to be refrigerated because of that. So we are a little bit more of a premium in the sense that we are a ready-to-eat refrigerated meal for people. And it shortens it down to about 7 weeks. So we're assuming it'll get to the actual retailer within the first 2 weeks with our distributor as well. And then it'll have a shelf life of about 5 weeks at the retailer itself.
Thank you.
Yeah?
Talk to me about shelf space at the retail. Refrigerated shelf space is a whole lot harder to get than a canned shelf space. So what is your action plan there?
When it comes to the shelf space, that is one of our assumptions is to be in these premium and natural stores and retailers themselves. And so when it comes to that, we'll be in that like ready-to-eat section, in the deli section, or like those areas that you walk in that have the ready prepared foods there, alongside a lot of the times the private labels that the grocery stores offer themselves. And so, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of them have that like refrigerated soup sections. That was kind of like, yeah, the main aspect we saw.
So what other products are we making right now that are in that refrigerated soup section? If we're working on our established retail presence, what are we supplanting from those shelves?
Like what is next to that?
You said we're using a established retail presence, so we must have something already there. What are those other products that we have in the shelf?
Yeah, that was that last assumption was meant to say that we already have a contract with these retailers, essentially saying that we're going to have shelf space for our soup. We don't have a pre-existing product. Did that answer your question?
Okay, so those sliding fees are accounted for?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
that's
And
the
our
assumption.
operational costs.
Yeah.
Go ahead. So, as you guys were doing your testing on this, did you happen to do any message testing? Because I have to say, upcycled food, every time you said it, I got a little bit of the ick, because it sounds like somebody just took your leftovers and put them back on the shelf. So, sorry. Did you do any message testing to see how that played with the audience, this idea of an upcycled food?
Yes, that was a aspect of our regression and our consumer survey. We were very careful to use the word sustainable because upcycled was something we had thrown around at the beginning, and again, yeah, we didn't want to use that perception of upcycled. So we had phrased it as sustainable in that survey and that regression. But yes, that was a portion, and we did find that our core consumers were willing to even pay a little bit higher for a product they feel like is, overall helping the environment, is sustainable. So we didn't see it as an issue, but yeah, we were very careful about the wording because that definitely could get a little, yeah.
Because I heard you say it a few times, and then I saw
Oh,
it on
really?
the jar, and I was like, ooh.
Yeah, no. So-
Okay.
I have a question on convenience. We talk a lot about convenience, and our plan is all about convenience. But is it convenient if you need to keep this refrigerated and you're looking for quick, easy meals and it's convenient, this is probably at 3 servings. So, how does that kind of work? We're talking about a young professional who wants to come and grab something, and am I carrying my jar of soup with me to work and I'm keeping it in the fridge? I'm not sure I quite buy the convenience story, in particular with how we're packaged this way.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's actually, we've packaged it as 1 serving. This jar is a little bit larger. We would have an 18-ounce jar in production. That's also just like specialty made, so we didn't have that right this moment.
So what is the normal serving size?
So 18 ounces.
18 ounces.
So that can
Still
be
a
a
lot of
larger,
soup, right?
it can be a larger size of a serving. It's also microwave safe, so you would have to refrigerate it, but it is easy to go. You wouldn't have to find another bowl, which sometimes in an office is hard to find, or you don't remember to bring it. Yeah, and so also it's lower calorie, and so that's also very convenient, just like, okay, this is my 1 meal, it'll fill me up. That was kind of the idea, but I understand, like, sometimes it's like, oh, but I could save this for later, how am I gonna save this? The idea is it's 1 serving, but to each their own.
Okay, cool. And just a quick follow-up on that, since we're talking about packaging. How many bottles do I have to buy to get way stronger on this? And how does that impact our cost of production if we have to, like we can't just do 1 label for this? We have to have how many different words is way stronger? We need lots of different versions. So what does that do from a production manufacturing standpoint?
For the cost of producing that, we've assumed that as well with incremental benefit of how that pays off. I'm not sure the exact number off the top of my head, but it is 10 letters that you will have to get over the course of getting that
Thank you
way
for doing
strong.
math for me.
Yep. And so that is 10 servings of soup that you would have to buy minimally, with maybe some extra in there if you don't, or if you get the same letter twice. Yeah.
That's a lot of soup to buy.
So I'm going to go back to the serving size.
Yeah, of course.
18 ounces is a serving. If you look at most soups on the shelf, even within your competitive space, it's going to be 8 to 10 ounces. Most of those are a cup of soup is what it is. So when you look at the price and what you're paying, if you eat 2 servings of the other ones, you have the same amount of protein. So you've effectively lost one of your things on the market. And 18 ounces of soup is a lot of soup, guys. How do you keep your competitive difference and your cost justification when you're leaning heavily in that health aspect of it?
Yeah, I would say I would again go to the research. I think that our core consumers are people that are focused on their macros. So from what we found, people would be willing to pay that premium for it's a single serving. The calorie-wise is pretty aligned with 1 single serving, I would say. I guess that's how we justified it. And also just, I think, our positioning, we're really hitting a part of the market that no other soups or protein aspects really can touch us on. So I felt like that was where we felt justified to kind of set that price, just because in terms of the protein space, there's not a full functioning, nutritional, full meal type thing that's savory like this. And in terms of the soup space, there's nothing that reaches us in nutrition or protein. So I guess that's where we felt allowed to set our price at that point.
Okay.
I just wanted to add on to that as well. We were considering a bowl of soup rather than a cup of soup as a serving there. And with that, also the other companies that are selling soups often do have a lot more processing. So we're providing an alternative to the heavily processed and preserved soups that are in the market today.
You guys have talked a fair amount about the importance of repeat purchases. How many repeat purchases in a given time period are you needing to hit your numbers? Is it if I buy one more time in the next year, or how regular do you need consumers to be incorporating these soups into their consumption?
Sweet. Yeah, so when it comes to it, we broke it down into different sections of repeat purchasers. The people who are simply trial buyers, trying out one different flavor a year, consisting of about 30% of our repeat purchase rates, hopefully in year 1, and shrinking that down as we see the monthly purchasers, people are using it as a meal replacement for their daily life. And then the soup fanatics, the people are going back for it more than once a week and using it as a staple for their work day. Yeah.
We reached on.